stream under the skilled nominated pathways. So these pathways are specially for the candidates who are looking to apply for a subclass 190 or 491 nomination, but through the business stream with some of the states which are offering the small business owners an option to apply for a 491 nomination or a 190 nomination through the small business owner stream. We will also be taking some questions at the end of the sessions. So if you do have questions, feel free to put in to the comment box below, and we will be able to read through the questions, and we'll try to answer all of the questions as much as possible. This session is limited for 1 hour, so we will try to cover every aspect of the presentation first, and then we will also take the questions as I mentioned before. So I will start with the first state nomination option, which is the Queensland. Now in Queensland, there is an option that you can apply for a state nomination for a 491 visa. If you do, so again, you still have to have a skills assessment and everything for the 491 nomination. However, you still, you'll be able to apply through the business nomination stream. So in the small business owner pathway, what the candidate needs to do is have a business in Queensland, in a regional Queensland only, because some states do provide 190 option. Queensland does not provide the 190 option. Now, with Queensland, you will only have a 491 option. What you need to do is you need to purchase an existing business, or you can start a new business as well. Now, the value of the purchasing existing business is 100,000. So that means when you purchase a business, you cannot purchase any business which is valued at 100,000 or less. Your business value must be at the time of purchase above 100,000. You must own 100% of the business. So you cannot have the partnership at all. So the partnerships are not accepted. Queensland nomination also requires you to have a full-time work rights, and you must have the visa that allows you to work full-time for you to operate your business in Queensland. You must be living in Queensland while you operate your business for 6 months. And the requirement for a business history is if you purchased an existing business, the business must have been operating for 2 years in the past before you purchased the business, and then you have to operate that business for another 6 months. Whereas if you're, if you have established a new business, you have to operate that business yourself for at least 2 years. That means you'll probably need 2 years of work rights full-time for you to be able to meet that requirement. But if you purchase an existing business, your business has to be 2 years old, but you have to be only operating the business for 6 months only. For example, let's say a candidate goes to Queensland now and purchases an existing business which is operating there for 2 years already, and the value of purchase is 100,000 or more, then this person will only have to operate the business for 6 months. But if a candidate too goes to Queensland in a regional Queensland and establishes a completely new business, let's say establishes a new restaurant, then because that restaurant was not operating before and they have not purchased it, they have not purchased an existing business, they will have to operate this business for at least 2 years. Now, in terms of business turnover, if your business is existing business, that means if you purchase an existing business, you don't really have any requirement for a turnover. But if your business is a startup business, that means you establish a new business in similar to what we referred in the candidate 2's example. So in this case, the business turnover has to be at least $200,000 over the last 12 months when you apply for a state nomination under this business stream. Now, profitability, if the business was a startup business, the business has to be profitable for 2 years at least. But otherwise, there is no mention of the profitability requirement if you have purchased an existing business. Salary-wise, there is no requirement that how much salary you have to draw. But we generally recommend that you draw a salary of at least certain level so that you can justify that you are, you have, sorry, just a second. I'm just setting up live as well. So yeah, so if you have the if you have the business, I would recommend that yes, you should have at least, you should withdraw some salary as part of your own work, so that you can justify that you were also receiving a salary for your work that you've done during your business operations. So here's the screen that I'm now able to share that I was not able to share before. So if you can see on the screen that you have to have the business operating for at least 2 years if it is a startup business, and you have to have been running that business for 2 years yourself, and the business has to be profitable for both years. Salary, as I said, you should be withdrawing the salary. It is not requirement, but we recommend you to do so. Employment requirements, you must have at least one Australian employee working part-time, at least 20 hours per week throughout the business operation. Now, certain businesses are not acceptable, such as startup businesses, if the startup business does not meet the 2 years requirement. Home-based businesses, completely not acceptable. Partly owned businesses, so that means if you have a partnership, the business is completely not acceptable. A business that has been used to qualify the Queensland small business stream before, that business will also not be acceptable. This is also a similar criteria that Canberra has it in Australian Capital Territory, that you cannot use it if somebody has already used this business for their application. Now, next one is Canberra. So in Canberra, you will have to have a small business owner pathway again. Now here, the option is that you can go for a 190 as well as you can go for 491, whereas Queensland does not give you that option. Now this business can be anywhere in Canberra. That's completely fine. In Canberra, if you want to qualify for a 190 nomination, your business has to be at least operating for 6 months. And if you want to go for a 491 nomination, your business has to be operating for at least 3 months. Business location has to be within Canberra. Anywhere in Canberra is fine. Existing business or a startup business, they accept both of them. So Canberra does not really care whether you purchased an existing business or you started a new business. For both of them, the criteria is the same. Value of the business, if you purchased an existing business, there is no minimum requirement as well. And ownership percentage, you must be 51% owner of the business, or you can have a partnership basically, but it cannot have less than 51 partnership, right? So now residency requirement for 190, as I mentioned, you have to be living in Canberra for at least 6 months. I'll just take this off from my screen so you can see it. So 6 months for 190 and 3 months for 491. So this will help you understand that if you want to qualify for 491, you just got to operate the business for 3 months and you can easily qualify. The next requirement is that the business has to be trading for at least 6 months, and there is a turnover requirement as well. So for a turnover, your business has to have a $200,000 turnover for a year. That is calculated on a pro rata basis. So if you want to qualify for a 190, your turnover has to be at least 100,000 because it's 6 months. And if you want to qualify for a 491, your turnover has to be at least 50,000 because it's 3 months. Because if you count it on a pro rata basis for a year, 3 months, 50,000 is 200,000 for a year. Generally, preference is given to the businesses with a turnover of at least 200,000 over the last 12 months. So as I mentioned, that it is a minimum requirement that your turnover has to be at least $200,000 a year. That is calculated on a pro rata basis if you're applying for a state nomination in less than 12 months' time. Now, profitability, again, there is no mention of the profitability requirement. So the business can be profitable or non-profitable as well. But again, always they will give priority and preferences to the business which are profitable. In terms of the salary, the applicant has to withdraw the salary of $26,000 over the 6 months. Or if you want to qualify for a 491, you have to withdraw the salary of $13,000 for over the last 3 months. Now, this is the requirement that you have to withdraw your own salary from a business as an employee. Employment requirement, the business must have at least one Australian employee working in the business for at least 13 weeks of the business operation. So this is also a requirement similar to what we have in Queensland, that you must employ one Australian employee. Ineligible businesses, subtenancy, rideshare, taxi, courier services, or delivery services are not acceptable. Business that has been used to qualify for a SBO stream under the SBO stream with Canberra, that is also not acceptable. Moving forward, the next state that we will cover is South Australia. Now in South Australia, this pretty much most of the states have the similar names, which is startup and small business stream. So generally, Canberra and Queensland has a small business owner category. The name has changed here, which is startup and small business stream. Visa subclasses, it is available for 190 and 491 both. Business location can be anywhere in South Australia. That means you can have it in Adelaide or in an outer Adelaide as well, outer South Australia as well. Whether you have an existing business or a startup business, in South Australia, you have to have a startup only. You cannot purchase an existing business like Canberra or Queensland, and your business has to be a completely new startup business. When your business, there is no requirement because you're not purchasing the business. Ownership percentages, there is no mention of the ownership percentages. So I would assume that you have to own 100% of your business. So I would recommend you to be a 100% owner in this category. Now, residency requirement, you must have lived in South Australia for at least 2 years for you to qualify for a business stream. The business must be traded for at least 1 year, and you must provide that the business case containing the evidence of the research into maximum into the relevant industry conditions, how the business will innovate and contribute to the economic growth of the state, and how your experience and qualification will help the business succeed in the next 3 years. So basically, you have to provide an overall plan of your business, how your business is going to grow, and why you believe that you will be able to run the business in a profitable way and contribute to the economy of South Australia. Now, there is no requirement for a profitability or a business turnover. The salary, you must be able to draw a 53,900 salary. This is the minimum threshold, because if you secure a 491 invitation and if you want to apply for a 191 again, you must be able to draw the salary of 53,900 for 3 years for you to be able to meet the 191 requirement after 3 years. Therefore, the requirement mentioned in the South Australian and Tasmania as well is the same thing, that you must have at least 53,900 as an ownership as a salary for yourself. Now, generally preference is in South Australia, if you employ at least 2 employees, you get more preference and if your business is in line with the priority growth industry, then you are favored even better. So because South Australia has a list of industries that they want to promote, that they call it a priority growth industries. And if they are the industries, then it's even better. Self-employers or subcontractors must also apply through this stream. They can apply through this stream as well. To be eligible for this, applicant must be working for the business and can be either partly owned or shareholder. You can be a shareholder of the business as well. Now, franchisees are not eligible for South Australia. So South Australia does not accept franchisee businesses. And anyways, it has to be a startup. So if you are taking a franchise, it's not a startup. Therefore, the franchisee businesses are not accepted. Now, next one is Tasmania. Again, similar to what South Australia has, that Tasmania will only accept a newly established business. That means, unlike Canberra and Queensland, if you purchase an existing business, South Australia does not accept it. Tasmania does not accept it. Tasmania also, they only have an option for a 491, like similar to what we have in Queensland, that the program is only available for 491 nominations. So 190 and 491 both are available in Canberra and South Australia, whereas in Tasmania and Queensland, there is only 491 under small business ownership, small business ownership. Now, business location can be anywhere in Tasmania. And as I mentioned, you have to establish a new business. There is no requirement of the value of the business, how much you have to put in or how much you have to invest in the business. Neither there is a requirement of the ownership percentages, but according to what I would recommend is that you must be a 100% owner of the business to justify that it's completely under your control. For a visa requirement, you just have to have a standard, you have to meet the standard requirement for a 491 visa, which is you have to have minimum 65 points, a positive skills assessment in any occupation, and you have to run the business for at least 6 months and reside in Tasmania for 6 months as well. Now, there is no requirement for a business turnover. However, there's a requirement that you have to take the salary or draw the salary of 53,900, similar to what they have in South Australia as well. So you have to be able to draw 53,900 salary over the 1 year time. So if you're applying after 6 months, let's say you should have at least $27,000 salary for that 6 months drawn up already. And you have to operate this business for 6 months before you apply for a state nomination with Tasmania. Now, there is no employment requirement. That means you don't really have to employ any Australian employee, or there is no requirement as such. But if you are employing an Australian employee, that is an advantage to your case again, because when you apply for a state nomination with Tasmania, they do look at all the factors like this. Now, ineligible businesses, again, franchisees, partly owned businesses. That means, if you own in a partnership, it's not acceptable. So the answer is there. Passive businesses and investments. So you have to be actively involved in the business. Service stations, massage clinics, and taxi Uber related businesses are not acceptable. So you have to have a certain idea. Let's say you can probably have a retail store. Yes, it's fine. You can have a restaurant. Yes, it's fine. But you cannot drive Uber or delivery services and say, hey, I'm doing a business. Yes, unless you have a trucks in your business and you're actively operating the business, you probably be accepted by Tasmania. But again, Canberra does not accept that kind of nomination. So now coming back to Tasmania. So this is all the requirement for Tasmania. Now I will be taking the questions. Before I take the questions, I would like to bring to your attention that when you apply for a state nomination under the small business stream, your chances of getting nomination is competitively higher. The reason that we believe this is because there are comparatively less applicants, we have noticed, in the small business owner stream, because not every applicant is able to invest and attract the amount that is required for, or let's say invest the money that is required for the business stream. So therefore, going for a business stream is still a very good option for everyone who's looking to apply for a state nomination through, and if they're not able to, let's say, get through to, they're not able to get through the normal pathways for a state nomination. So the best way is to go for a business stream if you're not able to get through. Now, coming back to the requirements again. So let's say for a 190 in Canberra or 190 and 491 in Canberra, then you have to apply for a matrix, which is that you have to collect a certain points and lodge a matrix in Canberra for you to be able to be selected. In Queensland, generally they have an expression of interest, so you have to lodge an expression of interest for you to be able to get the invitation, and then you have to submit the documents to Queensland government. Tasmania is also currently closed, but they might change the requirement and they might bring a similar process where you have to lodge an expression of interest, and once you're invited, then only you will be able to apply for a nomination. But so far, the requirement was simple, that you run the business for 6 months and you can apply for a state nomination. For South Australia, it's also a new program. It was recently introduced. So there as well, again, you can lodge an ROI and get the nomination through, like if you get an invitation, you can apply for a state nomination. Now, again, for both 190 and 491, you still need to meet the minimum requirement set by the Department of Home Affairs, which is for 190, you need to have 65 points, where 60 points has to be your own, and state will give you 5 points. You must have a positive skills assessment, minimum competent in English, and you must be able to prove those points that you've claimed. And for 491, you have to have total 65 points, 50 points on your own, and 15 will be given by the state. Again, you still need the skills assessment, which is valid, and the competent English, which is the minimum requirement. Now, some state might have an additional requirement for an English. So you have to look into which state you're applying for, and then look at overall situation. Now, I will request my colleague, Nihal, to start taking the questions from the different platforms, and we can start answering your questions. In the meantime, I will cover up the difference between each state. So if you go for, let's say, Canberra, as I mentioned, you have all the options. You can go for 491, you can go for 190, and you have a free hand. You can start a new business, or you can purchase an existing business. Just have to make sure that when you purchase an existing business, ensure that the person who's selling your business has not used the same business before to qualify for the stream. Now, my colleague Nihal will be taking the questions. Nihal, are you there?
Hi, Vaibhav. Thank you
mute,
for.
Nihal.
Oh, I'm really sorry. Okay, now can you hear me?
Sorry. Yep. Go ahead.
Yeah. So there are a few questions which our viewers have asked. So first question is from Zaki Ali. Business should be profitable?
Now it depends on which state are we talking about. Most of the state does not require a business to be profitable as long as you can meet the state nomination criteria. So as you know that we went through the state nomination criteria where we looked at each state on what is the requirement. So if, let's say, for example, Canberra does not require your business to be profitable as long as you have operated the business for 6 months and drawn the salary for yourself, which is $26,000 for 6 months, and employed one Australian employee in your business. Now, after this, if your business is not profitable, there's no mention of whether the business has to be profitable or not. But we always recommend that if you go for any small business owner category, the aim is to create employment and boost the economy, and also, and if you're not able to run the profitable business, eventually you might end up closing down the business. Therefore, the state might not really favor your application. And everybody, for your attention, that states, even if you meet their criteria, the state has the final authority to reject your application on any reason that they believe that they're not able to nominate you for so and so reason. They don't really have to give you a nomination, even if you meet their criteria. That is their complete discretion. So please make sure that when you do go under the business category, if the idea is that if you don't run a profitable business, then they will believe that you might close the business after you get the nomination. So most of the state might be hesitant in nominating you or in giving you a state nomination. So I would highly recommend that your business be profitable.
So there is another question from Zaki Ali only, as he is very interested in knowing which state is easier comparatively, according to you.
According to me, I believe that Canberra is very easy in terms of business category, but in Canberra, you're expecting to wait for at least 12 months because Canberra has a metric system where you have to complete the certain points as well to be selected from the Canberra metric system, right? So in that case, you might have a little bit of challenge, but I would highly recommend Canberra, or I would recommend going for the, let's say, states like Tasmania, where they really do give you nomination after 6 months. So yes, I would recommend Canberra or Tasmania first. And because in Queensland you have a minimum investment requirement as well, which is not there in Canberra or Tasmania. That's why I prefer Canberra and Tasmania over other states, because Queensland requires you to invest at least $100,000. Whereas, let's say, if you probably want to open up a pizza shop, it might be opened up in $50,000. So you actually, you don't have to invest all like $100,000. It's a bigger amount than $50,000. So that's why but it depends on whether you are able to invest that much, whether what business you're buying, whether that business has a potential for you to grow. All those things matters as well. Yes, next question.
Yes. So this is the same question from another question from Zaki Ali. He wants to know, is the business and the franchises should be is there any SOL list for this or any occupation list related to?
Any occupation that is available for 190 or 491 can be used. Now, the business does not have to be related to your occupation. Let's say a software engineer running a pizza shop is fine. They will be acceptable. But the requirement here is that you have to apply for a state nomination and meet the 491 or 190 criteria. Your occupation can be anything. Now, let's say, for example, in Canberra, if your occupation is open on their list, then you get extra 20 points. Otherwise, you don't get that extra 20 points. That's the only difference. But none of the state requires you to have your occupation open on the list for you to be able to apply for it.
So actually we all are like this. That was all the question which was asked from our viewers. So thank you so much, Vaibhav, for okay. So we just received another comment from Farooq Kaslam. He wants to ask any business visa in NSW.
No, in NSW, there is, as of now, there is no stream under small business category for 190491. However, we are expecting that the NSW should also come up. Like, as you see that, Queensland started, actually, Tasmania started the small business owner category. Then Queensland started. Then now Canberra started. And then South Australia also started it. So if you see, like, now we already have 4 states from 1 to 4, right, over the last 3-4 years. So eventually, I believe that most of the states will have this option. So if you probably are only intending to do the business in NSW, then yes, you probably might want to wait for some time and see if this can work as well.
There is another question from Farhan Ahmed Khan. He wants to know, what visa do I need to be on to start a business?
Now you can be on any visa. Like, for example, but if you go for a Queensland, for example, they need 1 year of, 6 months of full-time work rights for you to be able to work full-time in your business. But for example, Tasmania doesn't really mention anything. You just have to be able to draw the 53,900 salary, right? Canberra doesn't mention anything about the full-time or part-time work rights, or they just simply say that you have to be drawing the salary of certain amount. That's all. So basically, there is no requirement as such in particular, but depending on which state you're going for, the requirements will change.
There is another question from Pratibha. She wants to know, do you think small business scheme will be there in next fiscal year 2022 to 2023?
In NSW, if you're asking about NSW, let's say I'm assuming that your question is related to NSW. Yes, I strongly believe that there should be something, but obviously, that's up to the state whether they want to bring that kind of option or not. But yes, I'm hoping that they will probably get something under the small business owner category, and if that comes in, I think a lot of candidates will be benefited from there. Now, also, like, to encourage people who has a business skills or acumen to open up a business, this is the right opportunity for you guys, because, as I mentioned before, that business categories in any state, small business owner category, if you see, none of the states have a lot of applications coming in, because obviously there are a lot of limitations. Like, people may not have the funds available to them, people don't have the business experience, a lot of other challenges that they might find. Let's say they don't know how to run the business, they don't really have the knowledge about the business registration process, etc., etc. There are a lot of challenges that people find. But if you do have a business acumen and skills that and you're confident that you can run or establish a business like this, definitely, and if you're not able to secure your nomination for 190491 through other pathways that each state has, then this could be an best alternative for anyone who's looking into the business options.
There is another question from Ankit Sharma. He wants to know anything for Adelaide, South Australia. There has been news that they have opened the border a few months back.
Yes, South Australia has already opened the borders for everyone to travel interstate. And also, I think you can travel from overseas as well now. Now, in terms of business category, yes, we did explain the business category in South Australia. But South Australia only accepts the newly established businesses, and you have to operate that business for at least 6 to 12 months, and then you can qualify for a state nomination. And you must draw the salary of 53,900 per year for you to be able to meet the criteria for a small business owner category. And again, you have an option to apply for a 190 nomination as well as 490 nomination.
I think that's all which we have received the question. We will just wait for another 1-2 minutes to let people come up with their question.
Sure.
Yeah.
Now, in the meantime, viewers, I would like to request you guys to help us with, doing the right thing. So our aim to create this, live sessions every week is to create awareness. So the reason that we come up live is to create awareness about each program that the people have, because we come across a lot of applicants who lose their time because they were not informed or not aware about the options that they had for programs that are available in the migration programs. So therefore, our aim is to create that kind of awareness so that everybody can understand and have an accessible information that is not available for them, or they are not aware of it. They can watch our videos and understand the options that they may have, and then if they think that this is an option for them, they can contact us. Also, if you do if you're looking to practice PT exams, we do have our website, which is called ptatutorials.online. If you're looking to practice the CCL exams, we do have a website called ccltutorials.online. So you feel free to visit those websites, and we do really have amazing programs there as well. And again, coming back to the state nomination programs, if we don't have any questions, Nihal, do we?
Yeah, I think that's all question which we had.
Right. Yeah. So we'll probably head towards ending this session for today. As you understand that, as I was mentioning, that our aim to create or make these videos are to create awareness, and we want to ensure that every applicant is well versed with the information available in the market, or let's say if they're not aware of the programs, then by watching these videos they can be well aware of the options that they may have. Going forward now, we look forward to see you in next week again. We will be coming back.
Vaibhav, we just got another comment from Bhargav Patel. He wants to know how long it will take grant for SBQ Queensland for mechanical engineering with 75 points, including state. It's already 4 months.
So if it is in a small business owner category, maybe because most of the states are coming to an end of their allocations. That means, they had, let's say, for example, 4,000 allocations given to them by the Department of Home Affairs, and now they're running out of those allocations, but they have already taken your application. So that might be the reason for the delay, and they also are very slow and busy with their work. So therefore, that can be a reason for the delay, but you can expect if you don't get an outcome by this end of 30th of June, before 30th of June, then you can certainly expect in the new financial year, as soon as they get a new allocations, they can probably nominate you. The best idea is to probably send a follow-up email to the state so that they can give you an update on what is happening and why it takes a delay.
Yeah, that's all we received. So thank you so much, Vaibhav Patel, for having.
No
yeah.
Thank you very much, Nihal, for organizing this event. Everyone, this is the team who looks after, or organizes the entire event for us, and they are the actually backbone of creating this kind of awareness for you guys. We thank you for joining us for today's video, and if you do watch the video after we end the live session, please feel free to put your comments in the comment box, and we will aim to answer your questions. And we look forward to see you in the next session, I think on the next Friday at the same time. And we hope you enjoy your weekend.
Thank you.